ways have you seen transition towns improve communities and the lives of individuals within them?
On the course that I do called Skilling Up for Power Down, which is an integral part of what Transition Town Totnes does, we do an exercise where you weave a web of string of relationships between different things, your different elements in a native woodland, and you build that up. But then I kind of talk about how this is how communities worked before cheap oil was here. The web of relationships between all the different things in the community is what made that community resilient and and strong. What cheap oil has allowed us to do is to just cut through all those strings with a pair of scissors, and cheap oil has overtaken doing all of those things, so we can live next door to someone for 30 years and not even know who they are. And that wasn't something, a luxury so-called, that was afforded before cheap oil came along. So really the process of doing a transition town is one of coming along and looking around in the community and finding all these little bits of string and starting to work out what you could tie this one to this. What would happen if this tied up to this? So you're really starting to rebuild those networks. So a lot of the open space days that we've run are fantastic at bringing, you do an open space day on food. All the people who are passionate about food in the town come along, talk to each other, network together and come up with ideas. And those sort of invisible networks you start to rebuild are really, really essential. I suppose other ways that we're launching a local food directory in Totnes in a couple of months, which will really start to pull people into looking at the local food angle of it. The Totnes Pound initiative that we launched recently has been very beneficial, I think, in terms of getting people thinking about money in a very different way. And I think one of the key things, as Chris Johnson says, about the energy transition town process is that it's about telling new stories and about replacing the cultural stories that we have that are just not up to where we're going with new, really dynamic kind of stories. So when we launched the Totnes Pound, we had 180 people in a hall, and they were each given a brand new Totnes Pound, and they all waved their Totnes Pounds in the air, and they all had in their hands something which had the potential. They could go and spend it, and it was theirs, and it belonged to their town, and you couldn't spend it on cruise missiles, and you couldn't send it out of the community. And I think telling those kind of stories is really, really powerful. I think one of the main ways that I've seen the transition town process improve the life of individuals is that they look at the changes that are coming in terms of climate change and peak oil with a sense of excitement, and they look at them with a sense of real exhilaration about the possibilities that are contained in that. Obviously not blindly, naively thinking, oh, fantastic, but at the same time, you know, aware that the changes that we will have to make if we do them properly could make where we live and how we live far better than at present. And my reading of what's happened so far in Totnes is that a significant number of people are at that point, which I think is one of the main achievements so far.